On December 17, 1944, just outside the town of WWII, Belgium, a routine checkpoint encounter revealed something chilling. A jeep carrying 3 men in American uniforms was stopped by military police. Something felt off. Their English was slightly awkward, their responses hesitant. Sergeant William Creel noticed a crucial detail: British Sten guns slung over their shoulders, weapons no American patrol would carry. Within minutes, the 3 were in custody. Beneath their olive-drab uniforms was the truth. They were German soldiers. Their names were Manfred Peruz, Gunther Billing, and Wilhelm Schmidt, and they had just become the first captured infiltrators of Operation Greif, a covert mission that would ignite widespread fear and paranoia throughout the Allied lines. The seeds of this deception had been planted months earlier. On October 22, 1944, Adolf Hitler summoned SS Commando Otto Skorzeny to his East Prussian headquarters. The mission? To organize a special unit, Panzer Brigade 150, tasked with infiltrating American lines disguised as U.S. troops. Their goal was to capture bridges over the Meuse River intact during the upcoming German counteroffensive in the Ardennes, the now infamous Battle of the Bulge. Hitler believed that if his forces could disrupt communications and sow confusion, they might recreate the rapid victories of 1940. But the plan was dangerously ambitious. Skorzeny needed English-speaking Germans who could pass as Americans. Of the 2,500 men he assembled, only 10 spoke perfect English with idiomatic fluency. Another 30 to 40 spoke it well, but lacked knowledge of American slang. The rest ranged from mediocre to hopeless. Some were taught to feign illness and run away if stopped. Uniforms were another problem. Many were mismatched, blood-stained, or summer issue, collected in haste from across the German army. Only a small number of the elite Einheitsstilo commando teams were adequately equipped for deception. Despite these limitations, the operation was set in motion. On December 16th, the Germans launched their surprise offensive, with over 200,000 troops advancing to the snowy Ardennes. Skorzeny's disguised commandos followed behind, hoping to slip through the chaos. Some succeeded in spreading false orders, reversing road signs, and misdirecting convoys. One team even scouted an American-held town and redirected reinforcements away from the front. But the entire plan relied on a swift German breakthrough. When fierce American resistance stalled the advance, Operation Greif's original goals became unreachable. Then came the capture near WWII. During interrogation, Schmidt claimed their true mission was to assassinate General Dwight Eisenhower himself. There's no evidence such a plan existed, but the mere suggestion ignited panic. Security around Eisenhower tightened dramatically. For weeks, he was essentially imprisoned in his headquarters. The paranoia spread across the Allied forces like wildfire. Checkpoints multiplied across the rear. Every soldier was now a suspect. Military police began using cultural interrogation to expose infiltrators. Questions about state capitals, baseball teams, Hollywood celebrities, and American slang. Who won the 1940 World Series? What team plays at Wrigley Field? Who is Mickey Mouse's girlfriend? The logic was simple. Real Americans would know. Germans posing as Americans would not. The result was chaos. Genuine American soldiers were detained for failing obscure trivia. General Omar Bradley was held when a guard mistakenly thought Chicago was Illinois' capital. A British officer was detained for not knowing who won the World Series. The interrogation slowed troop movements and supply convoys, delayed reinforcements, and undermined trust within the ranks. Even those who passed the test felt violated and angry, creating a psychological toll that lasted well beyond the battlefield. Captured infiltrators were tried quickly under the Hague Convention, which prohibited the use of enemy uniforms in combat. 17 members of Operation Greif were executed by firing squad. including Peru's Billing and Schmidt, just 2 days before Christmas 1944. Their trials were swift, their guilt clear. They had been captured in American uniforms, carrying American weapons and IDs, but with German field gray underneath. Their execution was carried out with military precision, calculated, efficient, and unflinching. Otto Skorzeny, captured later, stood trial in 1947. He argued that his men had orders to remove American uniforms before engaging in combat. A former British agent testified his defense, admitting he had worn German uniforms for deception during the war. Skorzeny was acquitted, a decision that remains controversial, especially considering the fate of his men. Operation Greif failed tactically. The infiltrators didn't capture any bridges. No major demolition succeeded. Their direct impact was minimal, but the psychological disruption they caused was immense. The fear of disguised enemies haunted every checkpoint, every patrol. It slowed the Allied response, delayed reinforcements, and deeply affected morale. This operation taught enduring lessons. Cultural identity, absorbed over a lifetime, cannot be faked with weeks of language training. Shared memories of baseball, movies, slang, geography form an invisible barrier against imposters. It also highlighted the limits of special operations. Deception alone cannot win a war. Skorzeny's men could not take bridges if the tanks never reached them. In the end, the Battle of the Bulge became the largest battle ever fought by the U.S. Army. More than 1 million men were involved. American casualties exceeded 80,000, yet the line held. The Germans were pushed back, and their last great offensive collapsed. Operation Greif stands today as a study in psychological warfare, how a handful of disguised men created fear far beyond their numbers. Their legacy lives not in what they destroyed, but in the panic they provoked, the paranoia they unleashed, and the hard lessons about identity, culture, and war that still resonate today.